Hello, welcome to Calls with Your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready, it all starts now.
So for the record, I am in another country on vacation, and I'm in Europe. So it's a windows open, no AC situation where there's a lot of lovely street noise. There's a lot of family relatives just sitting right outside this window talking even. So I do apologize if the audio quality is not on par with my usual. I did find the quietest spot I could. I just really didn't want to break my streak of recording every week because this podcast makes one full month of recordings on time with a weekly schedule of Wednesdays if you haven't noticed. So yay, super excited about that. Okay, also this is a really, I'm excited about this topic. I think it's really fun. Okay, so recently my partner has been manifesting, and this is not something I even knew that I wanted from a partner, but seeing him do it, it's just, yeah, really inspiring and just kind of like creating, I guess, like another up level for me of like, okay, now I can only deal with partners who are also manifesting because I think it's so freaking cool. So basically, just without giving away too many personal details, he has been on this path to get into this certain career and job for the past few years. He's, finally about to finish this program and accepted a job offer to start doing this thing. But along the way, within really the past like month or two, even it seems, though I don't fully know, he's been kind of inspired to look into a job in the same career, but at just like a higher level. Um, like he's been learning about it from, some people in his program, some people even from my family. And even like these jobs that, when he was going through the interview process, like he was learning more about this job. It's just been getting really interested in it. And even said something to me the other day, like, okay, so the thing he wants to do is be a pilot. And he said to me like the other day, I want to fly a plane someday. Like he said it out loud. I was so proud. And now he's straight up just full on manifesting this career path, looking at luggage that a flight crew has, talking to, even more people directly about the path. His new company that he's starting with soon, he's even talking to them about how to develop into this path and looking at like what the logistics of it would be, like financially and how long it would take and just like all the things. And yeah, this is not something that I thought I was looking for from a partner, but now that it's here, it's like, whoa, this is the level I want to be at. As with manifest, is being with people who are doing these same things as me, manifesting that is. So I want to dive a little bit more into it and like how I think this happened, and just like my thoughts around being with a partner who manifests too, because like I do have a few manic manifesty thoughts about this too. So the first thing I want to say is that I never actually taught him how to manifest. Like I never sat him down and was like, okay, to get the thing you want, you have to do X and Y and Z. Like just from the very start of our relationship and even our dating, I think, I was just really open about the things that I was doing and, actually sharing the language behind it. And saying, using words like manifest, talking about, switching timelines and taking aligned actions and doing all those things. Like as I was doing them, I was telling him about them. And I wasn't telling him all of the things I was doing at first, but like over time, yeah, I've gotten much more transparent about the things I'm doing and why and the result it's getting me. which I'm sure has been really cool for him to see now that, we've been together for over a year now, and he's really, seen a lot of things line up for me that weren't before, just as I was talking about doing them. So that's the biggest thing I think I've done, is just actually shared my manifesting process. And it's not in like a lecture-y way. It's just in like oh, these are the things I'm doing. And he sees that happen, and he sees how it works for me so quickly. So he's seeing all that happen. The other thing I want to talk about is like, I'm really careful with the language that I use around manifesting. Like, it's just part of my daily, like my manifesting practice. So I'm always trying to stop myself from any like limiting narrative, and instead flipping into like the problem solving narrative of like, okay, well, when I get this thing that I want, XYZ is going to happen. Or like doing things as if I already have the thing I want. And just being intentional about the words I use. And he's seen this play out a little bit, because when we were earlier in our relationship, like, I know that I want to get married. And so I like semi-frequently, talk about what I want my marriage to be like, what I want my wedding to be like, and all that kind of stuff. And when we were earlier on in our relationship, like, I wasn't 100% sure or like sold on that being him. I know that doesn't sound great, but like, okay, I knew that this was the person that I really liked spending time with now, but I, hadn't really seen him behave in all of the ways that I would want my husband to. So, I was acting accordingly. I would say things like, okay, well, at my wedding, XYZ is going to happen. And when he would butt in with like, well, oh, I don't know if I want that at my wedding or something like that, I'd be like, oh, well, that's fine, because this is what's going to be what's happening at my wedding. And not in like a petty, nasty way, just in like a kind of silly, transparent, like, okay, well, I know that this is what my future is going to be. So you're gonna have to get on board or get off, kind of thing. And there was a point in time where I switched the language to, oh, like at our wedding, like, oh, in our marriage, when we're married, I want to do things like this. And he, of course, noticed that happening. He, recognized the moment that it switched from, like my marriage that I was looking forward to versus, him being in it. And I think that's so important, so that he was able to see, like, I don't know, just a fuller picture of how this works. Because before I was even talking about getting married to him, like, I was talking about getting married to someone, Okay. So yeah, I never actually taught him how it works. I just started manifesting around him, using careful language around him. And I think in me just doing all of that, I was kind of subtly, by just sharing with my partner, like, the actions I was taking in manifesting, like, that was almost treating my partner as if he was someone who already understood manifesting. Because again, like, I never sat him down and taught him. I was just doing my thing and sharing about it. And of course, if he had questions, I'd answer them, but like, that just was never part of the process. I just knew from me being in a relationship that I wanted someone who was going to be interested and cool with all parts of me, including this part. And just being really open about my manifesting process and what I was working on was really a part of that. Okay, so take a little break, come back, and we'll share about a little bit more detail about how this can happen for you and what you really shouldn't be doing also.
Just a little break to share that if you are loving this podcast and my content, if I'm someone you could see yourself working with, but you're wanting more direct support for your specific situation, I do offer mentorship. It's personalized to you, private video or phone calls with me, so you can chat about your situation and figure out a solution that's going to work for you. You can visit my website. It is kinkybestie.com/mentorships to see what's available and to book in your spot on my calendar. It's kinky with a Y at the end and bestie with an IE at the end. podcast. The link will be in the show notes, so you can check it out there. Back to the show.
Okay, and we're back. So the next thing I want to get into is this question that often comes up in the manifesting community, which is like, can I manifest for other people? Like, now that I know that my partner wants to be a pilot, could I just, manifest it for him? And just, start visualizing him that way and taking steps for him to live that lifestyle and things like that. And there's a few like really big problems with this. And I'll just touch on some of them. I'm sure that there's plenty more. But the biggest one is that, like, this is not my vision, right? Like, I don't really care that he's a pilot. Like, I care that he gets what he wants. And this is what he wants. I'm going to support him till the very end, But it's not actually like an energetic match for me to manifest something like this, because it's not really something that I care to happen. Because, he could be in a totally different job and I'd be so thrilled. So I think because I don't have that specific energy of like, him wanting this specific thing, that I can totally match and get there. The other thing is that, like, a big part of manifesting is for you to take aligned action. And while I can totally visualize the thing happening for him and affirm it with my words, I can't actually take steps for him to be in that. Like, I can't go to flight training with him, like, or for him. Like, I just couldn't do that. It would need to be him for it to happen. I guess, like, I could take steps to try to make him. Like, I could maybe sign up for classes for him, or try for it to happen in a way like that. But what's really the point of that? It just, when someone tries to do something for you, you kind of sometimes lose the drive to do it yourself. And the drive to do it yourself is a really big part of why taking aligned action works. Like, the drive for you to do this thing, for this to happen, is part of what aligns your energy towards that direction. So if someone else was taking that action for you, it just wouldn't carry the same weight, especially if they, didn't have the same exact intentions and like motivations behind it as you do, I think. So that's just a couple of the flaws that, like, okay, I cannot take aligned actions for him. If I were to try to take aligned actions for him, it probably would, turn him off of his dream a bit. Or like, make him lose that steam a little bit, which is like a big part of, how things happen for you when you manifest. And also, I just don't have the same drive for this to happen as, a big part of it is that he has to decide that this is what he wants and make it happen for himself. And he could decide next week that, he doesn't, and, not do it. But like, I can't carry that vision for him. This has got to be his own thing. And the other reason why manifesting for other people doesn't always work is it's, controlling the outcome. It's controlling the outcome for other people, because at the end of the day, if you're wanting to manifest something for someone else, and there is a personal energetic motivation behind it, like, that would have to be because there's some sort of, like, outcome for you that you're interested in. And by you trying to make that outcome happen by like forcing the hand of other people, it's just, on a crazy cosmos scale, like, you controlling the outcome, which, of course, as you know, doesn't get you the thing that you want, because, okay, let me make up like a fictitious situation for this to make sense. Like, okay, let's say I wanted my partner to become a pilot so that I could have flight benefits. Let's say that was the motivation behind it, which, by the way, is not, because I do get flight benefits through another family member, actually. And I also believe that by the time that I no longer get flight benefits from this family member, because I age out of them, like, I want to be able to afford to not need flight upgrades. Like, I want to be able to just buy the flights that I want. Like, that's part of like my end vision. But let's just say, for the sake of trying to follow this thread out, that that's why I wanted my partner to become a pilot. Well, if the point of that is just for me to be able to fly anywhere I want at any time, there's so many other ways for that to happen for me. Like, it could be, increased income on my own part. It could be through, like, maybe instead it's my brother or my mom, getting some sort of like job that gets me those perks in a different way. It could be, even myself getting a job like that with an airline. It could be through like a certain job that flies me wherever I want. Like, there's so many different ways that could happen for me. And by trying to instead create this world where it has to come through my partner, that's the only option. Like, that's just shutting myself off to all the other million ways that this thing can happen for me. And it's also just like kind of manipulative. So that's just one way I can think to put it. Oh my gosh, I can hear one of my cousins outside right now and he's loud. All right. So there's one last little like tip I wanted to give around this. And that is something my partner saw me doing in my own manifesting process, and how I really think that helped shift his mindset a bit. So I heard this tip from, I think it was Catherine Santina, who, if you don't know her, she also goes by like Manifestation Babe. It's like her business name. But she talks about creating, and maybe she got this from someone else, I don't even know. But she talks about, like, instead of creating a to-do list, to create a to-manifest list. So on your to-do list, you might have something like, go to the grocery store, apply for this dream job, create your resume, things like that. But on your to-manifest list, instead of having, always specific actions, it's more like outcome oriented. So instead I would have something like, have food in my house available to me. I'm trying to think, what's the other thing I literally just said would be on my to-do list? Groceries. Oh, to, apply for a job, or, create the perfect resume. Well, on my to manifest list would have to be like, my perfect job that like does X, Y, and Z things for me and carries this kind of energy. That would be on my to manifest list instead. So the reason for doing this is to, release control of the outcome a little bit, which I know is confusing because instead you're using outcome-oriented language, but you're like releasing the actions and you're instead bringing it back to like this end vision for why. And by putting it on a to manifest list, like, that's also saying that, like, okay, you're okay with the universe doing some of the work for you. Like, you're okay with, instead of you necessarily having to apply for that job, like the perfect job being offered to you instead. Because, by you aligning towards, the perfect job happening for you, instead of like, I just need to apply for this one job that may or may not be the right job at all, you're instead opening yourself up to it happening in a different way. So that is one big benefit of the to manifest list. And it's also just, a great way to get everything on paper and create a physical list of ways the universe can be thanking you, or, delivering what you want to you and things like that. Because I really do think a big part of manifesting is co-creating with the universe. Like, there's so much action that you need to take, like so much action already, that I think like trying to take back ownership of even more small, actions, when there are so many ways the universe just wants to bring it for you and do the work for you, is, can be really detrimental to your energy by trying to do everything yourself. So it just creates a little bit more space to allow in the universe to do its bit too, which is really magical. So anyways, I created a to manifest list in my home. So like literally got out a huge sheet of like paper, popped it on my wall, wrote to manifest on top, and just like had like a dream list of like all my things that I wanted to have happen. And my partner saw that, and I think some of the things were like things around my house, like, I wanted a clean kitchen, this is a while ago, so I can't even remember all of them. But some of them were like, a clean kitchen, maybe it was groceries or like food or something like that. But my partner saw that and went like, oh, to manifest list, does that mean like just, things your boyfriend can do for you list? Which is so fucking funny because a lot of them were things that like, yeah, he could have done them for me. But just having that out on paper, like then we were able to have a conversation. And I was able to share with him like, okay, me doing this is explicitly not so that you will do everything for me, but it's so that the universe will align some things to happen for me, so that these things that I want can happen even faster and with a lot more ease than maybe I envision that they have to happen. Because if I get into my head that for all of these things to happen, I have to create a crazy long to-do list for my day and just sit down and map it out and just do one thing after the other, like that is not going to be conducive to me actually being in the excited, easy energy that I want these, things to ultimately bring me. And I think him seeing that and understanding that on a different level was just like a big mindset shift for him. And just like understanding like the thought process that I put into things on a much bigger scale. So if you start with nothing else, just start with a to manifest list. Just have one in your home and be okay with the person that you're dating or wanting to date eventually seeing it. If you're wanting to manifest a partner who also manifests, so start living your life like you do have a partner who manifests. And hey, it got me there. Now he's, showing me the luggage he wants to get for, when he has his pilot job. Even though he's never flown a plane before. God, I love him so much. Okay, thanks for hanging in with this kind of rambly episode with admittedly probably a ton of background noise. I tried. See you in the next one. Ciao for now.
Thank you so much for joining me this episode. You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.